Hello, today we will be discussing how to overcome envy using research designs. So, what is envy? Well, according to the Good Therapy, envy is the way a person feels when they want something that someone else has, like money. For example, envy can occur if a man makes less money than his wife and he feels inferior to her. It can stem from low self esteem and an overall dissatisfaction with oneself. Now we are going to attempt to solve this problem by using the descriptive research, correlational research, and experimental research. So case studies look at the past and present of the individual. They are typically generated using observations or surveys and should be compiled with facts. The client may also provide their perspective on their behavior. McLeod. When attempting to solve the problem of envy, the psychologist may conduct interviews and look through the written documents to gather information about their client. In learning about their past, they would figure out what caused them to be dissatisfied with themselves. If we look at the betterhealthchannel.com, we would say that the possible roots of envy could be from highly critical relationships with parents and others in authority, traumatic or constant stressful situations, and overall just being in a toxic environment where you are constantly being told that you are not good enough. Client A may have had teachers that made them feel as though they were stupid and could never succeed in life. This might be a motivation strategy that the teacher used, but it could have negatively affected client A and caused them to become envious of anyone who was perceived as more successful than them. The benefits of using descriptive methods would be being able to gather ample quality data from the clients, and the case would encourage other discoveries to be made and other studies to be carried out. On the other hand, when using naturalistic observation, if they know that they are being watched, then their behavior may not be genuine. And as quoted by McLeod, because a case study deals with one person, event, or group, we can never be sure if the case study investigated is representative of the wider body of similar instances. This means the conclusions drawn from a particular case may not be transferable to other settings. Correlational research involves the measurement of two or more relevant variables and an assessment of the relationship between or among those variables. In these studies, it shows that one variable may be closely related but may not exactly cause the other. An example of this would be envy and gratitude. They have a negative correlation because envy shows the desire to have what others have, and gratitude shows appreciation for what a person already has. Research was done to propose the following hypotheses, as quoted from Shi Yang, Chow, and Yi. Gratitude can significantly and positively predict benign envy and negatively predict malicious envy. Social support can positively predict benign envy and negatively predict malicious envy. Social support plays a positive mediating role in the relationship between gratitude and benign envy, and a negative mediating role in the relationship between gratitude and malicious envy. The advantages are that neither variable goes through a manipulative process. The results, as well as the results from correlational research, are more applicable. The disadvantages would be that it doesn't determine what variables have the most influence, and extraneous variables might interfere with the information. McLeod describes the experimental method as the manipulation of variables to establish cause and effect relationships. Experiments help psychologists to test their hypothesis by measuring the cause and effect or independent variables respectively. There are three types of experiments: laboratory, field, and natural. For example, in 2011, Ternary spoke about an experiment. The psychologists in Texas began mildly enough with an experiment dredging up past feelings of envy. Some of the students were asked to write about occasions on which they'd envied a friend or acquaintance. Then these students, along with a control group, not asked to recall envious experiences, read interviews with a couple of people who were purportedly enrolled at their university. In these two interviews, which were fictitious, concocted by the researchers. The respondents answered questions about their studies and goals but didn't say anything that would elicit envy. Compared with the control group, the students who'd finished describing their past envy spent more time studying the interviews and were better at recalling details about these two people. Merely reliving their envy of past rivals apparently caused them to pay more attention to current peers, even though there was nothing obviously threatening about these two people. Our independent variable would be memory, and our dependent variable would be envy. This would help psychologists to determine what causes a behavior. Now that we know what causes the envious feeling, psychologists can assess those past emotions and help them to get through it. The strength of this would be the allowance for the researcher to control the variable, and these experiences would be easier for the researcher to replicate. The problem would be that the lab environment does not match what they The problem may be that the lab environment does not match what may happen in the real world, and some of the most interesting and key social variables cannot be experimentally manipulated. Thank you for your attention.